and welcome back to Madness in the Method, the podcast where we talk about Nicolas Cage and all the movies he's made. He's made so many movies over the years. It's starting to drive me mad. Anyway, my name is Tobias, and with me as always is my friend and trusted co-host, Christopher.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. And in today's episode, we are talking about, is it The Lord of War or just Lord of War?
Just Lord of War. No, the.
Just Lord of War. He's not The Lord of War, he's just Lord of War. It's a 2007?
2005.
2005!
Not
2005.
Yet.
No, not quite yet, unfortunately. I don't know what you want to call this. Crime, drama, thriller movie? About a gun runner.
Yeah, I would say drama. I mean, there are action and things, but that's not the focus point at all.
Yeah, there's not a lot of action. I mean, yeah, there's some shooting, of course, but yeah, it's not an action movie. It's written and directed by Andrew Niccol, starring Nicolas Cage, Jared Leto, and Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Deals with an arms dealer confronting the morality of his work as he's being chased by an Interpol agent.
And I think that's wrong. That is not what the movie's about.
Well, perfect then. 'Cause I just finished it. I'm poorly prepared for this episode. I'm sorry. But then I'm going to ask you, because what is this movie about, really?
I mean, so there's like, this is one of those movies, because this is a movie, it's heavy in symbolism and message and stuff like that. But I think you can take this movie in two ways. Either it's about just like just a bad guy who how a arms dealer on the black market, how that works, sort of. Mm-hmm. Like any kind of like a gangster movie, same thing. Yeah. Just how it works, and that's interesting.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
it's basically the same, but they deal in different commodities.
Exactly, but then there's also the other part where it's this sort of political anti-war message of this is how war works, and it is just terrible, and there's nothing really you can do about it. In a sort of, well, I wouldn't say that it's nihilistic, but it's on the border. It's nihilistic.
Yeah, I was philosophizing to myself yesterday, and I realized that people are depressed. They're just very aware of reality. It's just depression is just hyper aware of realism. And this movie isn't nihilistic. It's just very realistic in its in its philosophy.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that the message, because it is at the end of the movie, it like sort of gets this thing where it's like, there's a lot of arms dealers in the world. This is sort of how it works. Is it that bad, huh? Sort of. And
then it kind of leaves you at okay.
Yeah, but there's no really call to do anything about it. Just this is the world. Isn't it terrible?
It's very modern Star Trek. It's like, look at this. This is so bad. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. So
but wait, don't you want to like at least try to see if you can like fantasize a better version?
No, it's too late. This shit. Fuck it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that, which bothered me.
Yeah. So there's like these two things, and maybe it's one of those you can do something about it because you know of it now sort of deals. That's sort of maybe, I don't know, just bringing awareness to the thing, because it isn't really a thing that people think about or even know about. So it is a very real thing that is very hidden in a mainstream, I'd say.
Like we know about it now, but like you said, this movie's from 2005, so I know I wasn't aware of it, but I was just a teenager. So
yeah, so I think I would say this movie had a big part in making that sort of open secret of arms dealers between countries and how that works in a more capitalistic way, whatever. So I mean, so that's one thing, I guess. But so that's the two parts of the movie. What the actual is in the text and like the subtext, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And in the text, it is about a guy who, yeah, as I said, like a mafia movie, a Wolf of Wall Street movie, a guy who finds a way to get rich and doing it on, well, most of the movie, as he himself says, I don't even know when I'm doing it legally and illegally anymore. It's just it just blends together. But yeah, so that's the movie. That's what it was, sort of.
Yeah, and I'm well, we didn't even get to that. I guess you've seen it before, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen this several times. I really like this movie. I think it's a really entertaining, interesting, just good movie in general. There's obviously some flaws, but yeah. And so I knew what I was getting into, and I was exactly what I wanted. sort of a national treasure. I knew what it was. So, yeah.
And I had not seen this before. I don't know. I remember it was super popular at the time. It might be me imagining, but I'm pretty sure this was the first movie to use that. You know the song they play in the beginning? I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
You know the song, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And it feels like that was kind of everywhere for a while. It was like every trailer wanted to use that song, and it was in Tropic Thunder as well. It was in the trailer for some TV show that was going on, which was similar to this.
That's not something I remember at all.
No, it's just something that stuck in my head. Like, it had, like, for a while it had, like, a minor influence on, like, film. Or film and TV. The style of it. Even though I hadn't seen it, like, from what I knew of the movie, and from what I saw other movies doing at the same time, I was like, okay. But for some reason, I didn't watch it until now.
So there was no strong reason why you didn't watch it; just didn't happen.
I think that it might have been 2005. I wasn't in my pretentious phase yet. It could just been that everyone was saying it was, oh man, it's so good, you gotta see it. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll see it later, and it just never happened.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Having seen it now, I like it. I like it. Like I mentioned in the beginning, my biggest problem is, sure, I get what the story is about, you know, the world and war and weapons and all that, but the plot is it's literally starts and ends at the same place. It's just like, and what was the point? A little bit, the plot wise, not the story or the themes. Like,
I can see
the
that.
text is kind of okay.
Yeah, I can see that, but in the same vein, I mean, there is, well, for me at least, there is a curiosity and an entertainment value in just seeing a person living a weird life, sort of.
Oh, sure,
like Wolf of Wall Street is a perfect example. That movie also doesn't really lead anywhere. It just doesn't have anything to say. More than maybe it's don't similar, be a bad guy. That's maybe.
I think this movie's more that don't be a bad guy. This feels more opinionated than Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's just seeing a life. Of a person who's living a weird life. I think for me, that's if it's well made, that's enough for me to like it. I mean, some of the greatest movies, like I don't know why I keep mentioning that movie. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it that much. But yeah, the Goodfellas again.
Oh right. Yeah. It's similar again. Yeah.
That it's just a life. There's no real reason. There's no real. It's just a story of a person. And that's what all stories are.
Yeah. And this is very similar in its format and its style. Like, you have the voiceover, even the guy like breaking the fourth wall, talking to the audience, and all the cool music and all the characters and everything. It's very similar. So I can't really fault it for that, and I guess I unfairly then will compare it to Goodfellas and say,
Yeah.
like, well, I like Goodfellas a lot more because it's a much better movie than this is, like, technically.
No, yeah. No.
But that's not fair, like, because, this is still a good movie. I'm just saying. Like, there's a reason I love Wolf of Wall Street, and I just kind of like this one. Because,
It's because how it looks. Is that it?
It's partly how it partly how it looks. There's nothing wrong with how it looks, except for a few scenes. The night scenes when he's at his lowest point was just, I don't know, they look bad. I don't know. That's just beside the point.
When he was walking around in Africa, or
yeah, exactly, yeah. But other than that, I don't know. Like I said, it's not bad. It's just not at the level of Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, and for me, I think this is a better movie than Wolf of Wall Street.
No.
Yes.
No.
But because I have one big problem with Wolf of Wall Street, and that is it is how do you put it? It's too gleeful in itself. It's bad. But anyway, this is cool. Look at this cool fun thing, and it sort of drops the seriousness, and you feel like the movie maker or the movie itself doesn't take it seriously. They say that it's bad, but come on. I mean, while in this movie it is bad, and the movie never lets you forget that this is bad. He's living this cool life, but no, it is bad. What he's doing is bad, and you should feel bad if you like what he's doing. While in Wolf of Wall Street, it's like, yeah, I mean, you should root for him. I mean, he's a bad guy, but come on, he's there.
I think there is the main difference between the two, because I know for a fact that Scorsese he didn't want to he didn't want to point fingers at whatever the guy's name is in that movie, Adrian something, whatever,
Brody,
DiCaprio's character.
Oh, well, yeah.
He wanted to depict it, the way it's described in the book, because it's based on a book. And he never wanted to, like, oh, look how bad this is. Like, he wanted to make it look fun because that's what it was for the guy at the time. And it also makes the audience question, like, man, I'm really liking this guy. Well, wait, he's a criminal and a fucking bastard. Why am I liking him? Here, it's more like, this guy's bad. You should not like this guy. But at a couple of times, he's really, like, smooth and cool, and you kind of like him. So it's sending mixed messages, but in the different direction. It's making you feel bad for liking him, because he's bad, but sometimes he's kind of cool, instead of showing how cool he is and making you question yourself, like, why am I liking this when he's abusive and he does drugs and he steals from people. I don't know if I was confusing which movie was which.
No, I think I got it.
Yeah. I think that's the subtle difference, and why I would prefer a movie like same thing with Goodfellas. It's the same thing. It's really like not romanticized, but it's not pointing fingers.
Yeah,
it makes you question, like, why do I like Ray Liotta's character in this movie? He's a murderer and a gangster and a criminal. Why do I like him?
Yeah, and in that, I mean, so we preferred different movies for like the opposite reasons, because
yeah, exactly.
So we're sort of on the same page. Just that you think it's bad, I think it's good. So, and I think when you, the problem with I won't drag Goodfellas into this conversation, but Wolf of Wall Street.
But in Goodfellas,
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
When you feel, oh, why do I like this guy when he's so bad? The only thing I see then is, oh, the movie really wants me to like this guy, huh? That's just, I don't question myself. I question the motivation of the movie or the creator of the movie, and I think that sort of ruins it for me, because it. Yeah, you say that Martin Scorsese doesn't want to put blame, but he should put some blame. I mean, this is a person who sort of ruins hundreds or even thousands of people's life, there should be blame. It's like, oh well, we should be like objective to it. No, not really. You should. This is art. Art is supposed to say something. You should put blame. You have a responsibility for it. And that's sort of why Lord of War gets me, while Wolf of Wall Street doesn't.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay, but I yeah.
I
see your point, and I do think because I am where's his name? So Scorsese, he is not, he's not saying anything, or no, what was it you were saying? That he damn it, I lost my train of thought.
Well, I was saying that he I was mocking him, saying, I need to be objective and let the people think for themselves.
Right. Well, I think there's two different ways of making it, and I guess I'm just reiterating what you say. Like, you like when the artist, the director and writer actually does say, this is what it is. But I prefer when the artist and the director makes you question. That his goal is not to tell you, but his goal is to make you think about it afterwards.
And this goes back to sort of a friendship-long discussion we had, going back to, like, horror movies. I prefer them horror movies where the director says, this is the monster that was dreamt up, that I wanted to show you. While you say, oh, no, I don't want the monster. I want it to be in their head so I can think of what it should be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Oh, no. Yeah, you don't like the Babadook, right?
No.
For that reason, sort of.
Not only that reason, but it's one of the reasons.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
So, I mean, it comes back to that same thing.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, personal preference at this point. Yeah, sure.
So, that explains why we think differently in this case of this movie, because we are coming from two exact opposite of the spectrum regarding that.
Yes.
Well,
let's move on.
So yeah, but you weren't like pulled into the movie at all, or was it some parts that were? No, I'm just.
Okay. No. I mean, I'm not disliking the movie. I think it's a good movie.
Okay.
I think there's good performances by. Well, there aren't that many actors in the movie, really.
No.
Like, Nicolas Cage is good. I think Jared Leto is. This was before he went crazy, so he's still kind of good. I mean, he was still good many years after this, but this was before he got his head up his ass too much.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Leto, I wouldn't say this is. I wouldn't say it's one of his best performances, but it's like it's up there.
But he's good.
He's
fine.
It's a very very similar performance to, but just worse than Requiem for a Dream, and similar character too, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think he could be really great in this movie if he had more screen time, if he was the main character. But he's sort of in and out of the movie. Yeah,
a lot. Like, he just turns up when he's needed in the movie, sort of.
Yeah, and then he just disappears for like 30 minutes. Then, right, Jared Leto in this movie. And I think he is not the problem. I think that's the problem with his character.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Ethan Hawke. The last few years, I really got into Ethan Hawke. I really like him as an actor.
I've been into him for a while. Yeah, realizing, wait a minute, he's actually really, really good.
Yeah. So but in this movie, he could be like any guy. He's
just a buzz cut, like agent guy. Like he could be anyone. He's barely in the movie, which is sad,
Yeah.
But I guess at this point, he was still not like. I mean, he's never been like mainstream A-list celebrity actor guy. Mm. But he's kind of become more recognizable in the last, 10 years. So at this point, he was still, the guy who does the indie movies. But now he's in a big movie. Oh, okay. So I guess that's why. But what little he has to work with, I think he's good. He's always good.
I think the greatest actor in the movie is Eamon Walker.
Oh, it's Andre Baptiste.
Yeah. He steals every scene he's in. I mean, he's you don't like him, obviously. He's a fucking
No.
murderer, but I got this intensity, and every time he's in on screen, you really sort of fear for everyone who's there.
Yeah, there's something about, I don't know if this is racist or not, but a lot of, like, when actors portray, like, African warlords, they really get to, like, let loose, and it's often very scary. Like in this, or in what's it called? What's it called? Blood Diamond. Even in this stupid, like, adventure movie with Matthew McConaughey, there's a warlord. What's it called?
Which
one?
one?
Whatever. Sahara, just called Sahara.
Oh,
there's this guy playing a, like, super violent warlord, and then they're all super scary. I think it's one of those roles where you get to let loose.
Yeah.
Sort of like when a white actor gets to play a racist.
Yeah.
They get to say it so they can really go ham, you know?
But yeah, back to Nicolas Cage, because this is the Nicolas Cage podcast.
Oh, yes.
I think he was very okay in this movie. He was extremely okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do anything bad, but he didn't do anything special. He didn't bring anything special to the role, I think. Except maybe that he's pretty good at being suave and dopey at the same time.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of like the whole, that part of the whole movie. Like, there's a lot of, I don't know if it's the director, maybe. I mean, I've seen other stuff he's directed. He's not a bad director per se, but it feels like he's not utilizing the actors properly. Not even his star, Nicolas Cage, feels a bit like, let him loose a little bit, like, let him do something fun.
Yeah.
But it never really gets there. He's very focused on, like, telling the story. So it becomes a lot more plot driven than character driven when there's not really a great plot.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
True. He really hasn't done like only like one, except this one good movie in his career.
Yeah, I like. Well, it's been a while since I saw it, but I like Gattaca.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Gattaca is an amazing movie.
Gattaca's cool, but I haven't seen it in a long time. But of what I remember, it's really cool. But he made another movie with Ethan Hawke called Good Kill.
Yeah,
and that one's pretty good. It's sort of the same problem as with this one. Like, it's a lot of, like, good things that doesn't really get to completely bloom. But it's a good movie.
Yeah, you should really rewatch Gattaca. That's a great movie. Everyone should see Gattaca. Everyone who's listening, go watch Gattaca.
Yeah.
After this episode.
Yeah, but I think those are the only movies I've seen, like, half of in time.
Yeah,
but
same,
I didn't like
same.
it. I turned it off. It was silly.
Yeah. But yeah, so the acting is very it's very fine. Like, nothing really to say more than what we said. That's about it. Ian Holm is in it. That's about everything you can say about him. He's here.
What was the point of that character?
I think the point was sort of to both show sort of a progression of Yuri's character or his stance in the weapon arms industry, to have, like, sort of a reference point to see that he started where he wasn't good enough, and then he came to a place where he can actually, when that guy came to him and he could reject him.
Yeah.
So it's both that
and then almost like showing how Yuri goes too far. He's, like, lost in the business.
Yeah.
When he eventually, well, I guess technically kills him.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing with the murder. I think that sort of is it's showing that he is too far gone into this life, on this world, that he won't ever be able to return from it. That like when he pulls that trigger, it's done. and that's I think both of those two is the point of the characters. The character is more of a MacGuffin more than an actual character.
Yeah.
Um,
Kind of like I don't know if there's a word for it, but I know we discussed it in shit. What's it called? Moonstruck. Moonstruck.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of like, I don't remember that character, but that like character that kind of represents like morality, or like if in more of a physical way, maybe like God, like to show the main character where he's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I don't remember. There's a similar character like that in Moonstruck. I don't know why.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. But anyone who hasn't checked out that episode, you should. It's a very good episode about a very good movie. Anyway, back to Lord of War. Yeah. But yeah, so he mainly exists like a sort of fucked up moral compass, basically.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
And I think I think that's one of the things in this movie which, yeah, you can definitely interpret it as bad story writing, but because this isn't a movie based on an actual person. It's like amalgamation of several real people who have existed, and also sort of the socio-political climate that this person could exist, sort of. Because I read there was like one guy who's like a Russian guy who had a very similar, so he was an inspiration, but only an inspiration. But yeah, so and because of that, you can like in Lord of War when his brother gets like hooked on drugs and needs to go into rehab and being the screw up guy, sort of.
Yeah,
that's in quote unquote regular movie. You would think, what is this plotline? What is this doing here? It has nothing to do with anything, really.
Yeah.
But because this movie is sort of created as a biopic or a based on a book story or based on a real event story, it feels like that could have happened.
Yeah.
So in this movie it worked, even though it shouldn't really work if you think like on a script level, but just because how they made it, because it is made very much as a real event story or based on a book story.
Yeah, like a biopic almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those things that sort of doesn't work but still work, which is interesting.
So it's excusable if you well, it's almost based on a real story.
Yeah.
So we gotta have superfluous characters and storylines that don't go anywhere.
Yeah, and I think Ian Holm really fits into that mold of what is this? What is this doing here? Well, it actually happened, so they have to cut out a lot of things that was in the book. Oh, right, yeah, that makes sense.
Andrew Nicolas telling this to the producer, like, so we gotta hire a guy for a bunch of millions of dollars, and he doesn't actually need to be in the movie? Yeah, but he was in reality. But what? This is not a real story? Yeah, I know, but
it could be, though.
It's almost!
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, and I agree. It's kind of funny, like.
Yeah.
But it's not real, Andy. I know. But I want it. I mean, it could be. It could be.
And I do like the ending of this movie. I think it's very refreshing. Even though, as we said, it's sort of nihilistic and sort of a doomer mentality in a way.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
But like how the movie ends with this bad guy who we know is a bad guy, and at the end, sure, he has been disowned by his family, both blood family and wife and son.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah,
and he doesn't have anything left except his contacts, and it's this. He sort of at the end of the movie sort of becomes this. Kaiser Soze type of character.
I know what you mean.
Who just disappears into the mist, and he lost everything, but he still won, sort of. And I think it's refreshing to see that, the bad guy doesn't always lose at the end.
Sure, yeah.
In this world, the bad guy wins. And as he says, what they should say is evil prevails.
Yeah. Which they kind of say, but more words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it would have.
I like that ending. The movie wouldn't have had such an impact if he would have just been arrested at the end.
No, that would have been silly and it wouldn't feel real.
Yeah.
Because it didn't happen in real life.
Exactly.
I think it's a movie that because I think this might be the best possible ending, but I don't think it's a good ending. But it's the kind of movie or the kind of story that there really isn't a good ending there. Like, he could be arrested? No, that's silly and unrealistic. He could be killed, but that would feel very anticlimactic. He could get away with it, even though, I'm sad, boo-hoo, but, he got away with it and continues to sell weapons to this day, probably. But that's also kind of like, then it doesn't really feel like an ending. It just feels like, and now it continues. And I don't know if there's another ending, like he goes legit, but that will also be silly, because bad guys rarely go legit.
Yeah, no.
Very rarely. Maybe they should have gone like the Hollywood route. When he loses everything, he just says, I am the Lord of War, and then he picks up 2 M60s and kills all the people he does business with. That could have been something.
Yeah, he invites
switch it up completely.
He invites everyone to a big dinner.
Well, it's a fire sale, and then he just kills them all. Yeah, that would have worked. No, but that would have been funny. It wouldn't be good.
So I read some trivia about the movie, which is this movie. It's quite interesting. So because I read it. Apparently, Nicolas Cage character is a composite of 5 real arms dealers. So it's part of different people's story. So maybe it actually is real, like these weird like plot lines that actually is plot lines from those people's actual life story.
I'm sure things like this and even crazier things has happened in reality. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Anyway, but an interesting thing is this apparently director Andrew Niccol, he actually worked with an arms dealer throughout the movie to get like inspiration. And apparently the scene where the tanks are lined up, that's that arms dealer's actual tanks who is about to sell to a country. And they had to call, or Andrew the director had to call NATO and said, it's a movie, we're recording a movie, it's not actually preparing for a war, because that would be, they would see it on the satellite photos, the lineup of actual tanks. So.
But wait, was he selling them legally, or was he like the Nicolas Cage character?
That's not that doesn't say. It's just,
good.
The tanks,
otherwise he was admitting to a giant ass crime right there. Like,
the tanks lined up for sale.
We're not selling illegal tanks.
So
it's a movie.
The tanks lined up for sale was real and belonged to a Czech arm dealer who had to have them back to sell to another country. Okay. I don't know. And apparently it was more. It was cheaper to use real stockpile of over 3,000 AK-47 than getting prop guns.
Okay.
So apparently a lot of the firearms in this movie is actually just real because that's cheaper.
Now that's fucked up.
Yeah.
The fake guns are more expensive than real guns.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is hard to talk about the movie unless you really want to get deep into the like symbolism of the movie. But I don't think that's. I think that's a disservice of the movie to go into like what the symbols means and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, one thing that's very very sort of obvious is in the beginning of the movie, he stands on a pier, sort of, something.
Yeah. He's standing in the middle of, like a crossroads.
And it's like a cross, and it's like, and then later on when he has a bullet in a chain, just like people has a cross as a chain. It's like
Yeah.
his religion, his firearms, and it's a lot of those things.
A lot of those things are kind of like they or not, some of them at least they feel it's a little edgy, you know. He wants to, because also that like I talked about before, like he wants his character to be cool sometimes. So there's some scenes where he's like super cool and super edgy, and goes back to using, I don't know, using real songs. I don't know. It adds that cool factor, like a Scorsese movie. He does it well all the time, using real songs. And it's like I said before, it leads to mixed messages. Like, he's really cool, but he's a bad guy. But he's really cool, but he's a bad guy.
Yeah, but I think also most of these symbolisms are very what do you say? Shallow.
Yes. Yeah.
So they are very cool to see them. It's like, oh, that's sort of like the cross. But if you start to point them out and think about them and actually sort of try to put it together into words, then it's sort of, well, I mean...
it's not much of a deeper meaning. It's just,
no.
It's like a cross, you know, like a religious symbol, but it's a bullet.
Yeah.
And he's standing in the middle of it in the beginning.
Yeah. So, and also these things with, like, there's definitely something with his father, that his father sort of changed religion to be a Jew, but not really. That's definitely definitely have something, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Kind of the hypocrisy that you can just, I'm just going to choose this faith now.
Yeah.
I'll just choose to be a gun runner, and choose not to like see the bad parts of it, because you know it's business.
I did like the end of Jared Leto's character, of Vitali.
When he dies?
Yeah. I do think I think it was a very good scene, and I'm
glad he died.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Too few people died in this movie. No, I just think it was a good ending to his character, because that also sort of shows that even he, as fucked up as he is, knows what's right and wrong.
Yeah. I just wish he was in the movie more, so kind of gradually build that up.
Yeah.
Because now, I mean, you get it, of course. That's part of why he's fucked up is because, like, the first time they sell a bunch of guns, when they get shot at, and he sees that they actually shot a bunch of children. And when he looks through the wall when they're lying on the floor, somewhere they're selling guns to someone. And it's after that he starts doing drugs and everything. But I would almost want the movie to be a little more obvious, and like build him up more gradually than just have him show up for the scenes where he experiences something bad, and then having like, go away now. You've made your point. Now go away until we can kill you in the end. He should have been there all the time and start to more and more question the morality of what they're doing until that end. That would have been better.
Yeah.
Just have him around, like in the other scenes of the movie. Just have him be there and like look worried or be all paranoid or something, you know.
How long was this movie? It's not that long, right?
It's about 2 hours. If you skip the credits.
Maybe it should have been longer.
I don't think it even would have had to been much longer. Just have him be in the scenes.
No.
And could add like, I don't know, 5 minutes of dialogue.
Yeah. The problem with that is
combined.
like most of the movie isn't in America. He's out meeting people, and if Vitali was there, that's that would have changed his entire arc, sort of. But maybe that would have been a good thing.
Yeah, I think that would have been, because it almost feels like it's just an excuse to get rid of him when they say, "Well, he's going back to rehab now." When he comes back to work, well, not to work because that's when he dies. But when he comes back, Is it at the wedding? He comes back after the rehab stint.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time we see him. Yeah. After that, he should have been in the rest of the movie,
Fair.
and not just in the scenes in America.
Fair. This movie really bombed. I just realized. I'm just looking at how much it. I mean, the budget is 50 million estimated, and that's, as we talked about before, isn't usually they don't count the PR for the movie.
No, it's probably close to 100.
Yeah, and the worldwide gross is 72 million.
Yeah,
They probably made a loss in this movie.
Probably. That's too bad. I mean, because it wasn't a studio-backed movie. This was like not an independent movie, but they like looked for financial backing from outside of America for some for reasons.
Yeah.
And it's a well put together movie that is, like I said, it's not a studio movie, and those are the kind of movies that you kind of want to succeed, but unfortunately they rarely do. So even if I don't love this movie, it sucks that it didn't do better than it did. But it's kind of gotten a little bit of a cult status, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, as you said before, at the time when it came out, it was a lot of people was talking about it. Everybody who saw it was talking about it. Yeah. I remember reason I saw it because a friend of mine, I don't remember which friend, but I remember a friend that told me, "You gotta see Lord of War. It's a cool movie."
Yeah.
Sort of missing the point, but
exactly. It's super cool.
But yeah. So, and have you read any reviews from the time? I know you said you were ill prepared today.
Yeah, I haven't. It's got a 62 Metascore, but I recently found out that you can't really trust that number.
Oh, some inside information.
No, I saw a video by this guy called the Kino Corner, and he talked about that. They because all the reviews on Metacritic gets a numerical score, even if the review in the newspaper website whatever. Didn't give a numerical score. They kind of just guesstimate one.
Oh.
And also, if it's like a big newspaper like here, the top one is from Roger Ebert, but it's from the time when he worked for Chicago Sun-Times. So it's a big publication and a very famous reviewer. Then they kind of like bolster their point. So if he says it's really good, it's an 8 out of 10, they kind of like, but he probably means 8.5.
Oh.
Yeah, so they kind of pick and choose, and they kind of curate the points themselves, which I didn't know about. I thought that was more what they did over on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's more because it's more blunt there when it comes to the points. But yes, I'm saddened by this because I like Metacritic as a site.
Time to find something new.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still read the reviews, and make up your own point, and just kind of try to ignore the numbers as much as possible. But for the sake of brevity, it's got a 62. And like I said, the top review is Roger Ebert, and he says it's a bleak comedy, funny in a catch-22 sort of way, and at the same time, an angry outcry against the gun traffic. Which sums it up pretty well. Like, it's really cool, but it's also like, this is really bad, though. Which is the problem I had with it, that it's sending mixed messages. But I see, where Roger Ebert sees it as something good, I see it as something not as good. And then there's one from the Hollywood Reporter that just says, Cage is brilliant. Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then let's see, they didn't get too many, only got one like really negative review, but it was a really negative one. It just says, the result is a dead pile of information in search of a movie, which, I see what it means, so maybe that's a little harsh. I can't read the whole thing, though. It's too old. But we have that blurb. Because, it's, like I said, it's pointing at this, look how bad this is. Anyway, let's move on. Just a little bit of that. Which, the problem I had with it.
Fair. Well, the user reviews are very positive. It's mostly 10 and 9s.
Oh, really?
Like, everyone just fucking loves this movie. Except there's a few outliers who give it like a 2 or a 3, and everyone says, people, I don't understand. I don't get it. People say this is good. I didn't think it was good. Am I missing something? Sort of. So,
that's the problem with user reviews. It was bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I mean that everyone who doesn't give it a 9 or 10 is sort of saying, like I'm missing the point, or they are just confused. They're more confused than giving a review. They're like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, I'm looking through the user reviews, and I saw one with the title, it's 9 out of 10. Great movie, similar to The Godfather. Hold on now. Hold on. Wait a minute. But I found one here, a 7 out of 10. Oh, someone who actually thought about what score to give it. 10, amazing. 1, sucks. It says, leaves you cold, but then maybe it ought to. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll read the first paragraph here. I've been running Lord of War through my head. Cinematically, it promises to be a more interesting film than it ends up being. The first shot of the path of bullet from start to finish promises a stark look at the gun-running industry, and to a degree there is some truth to it. However, I also wonder how much of the film is Hollywoodized. I kept thinking that it felt like a Hollywood story of corrupt power, like that of Tony Montana or Johnny Depp in Blow. Yeah. Yeah, once again, the same thing there. Sometimes it wants to be really cool, like a cool movie, and sometimes it wants to really depict the grim reality of it. Yeah. Says it's extremely well written. Well, it's pretty good.
There's one here, a 1. More boring Hollywood moralizing. The story of an amoral arms dealer from New York could be made into an interesting movie, but it isn't. Lord of War is a paint by numbers, preachy finger pointing. Oh, isn't the arms trade so unethical it kills kitten and puppies too? Piece of Hollywood garbage. Whatever happens to characters, story and dialogue. The big studio wonder why box office numbers keep declining. Well, it's because of crap like this. Nicolas Cage stars and narrates the entire movie as Yuri, the arms dealer, who with the help of his brother, becomes an arms-dealing kingpin. This movie takes you from his start in Little Odessa to his time at the top. It was a boring story with boring characters where nothing happened. I couldn't sit through the entire thing.
Yikes.
Okay, I mean...
That's a little harsh.
Calm down.
Yeah, I mean, how dare they moralize about illegal gun running?
Yeah.
Those liberal fucks.
Yeah. It seems like everyone who gives it a 1 just thinks it's sort of preachy and is like, oh, they say gun running is bad. So,
yeah. Hey, newsflash, it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is, like we said, as we said, it is moralizing, but it's not super like finger wagging, but it is there. So
yeah.
I think people are just overreacting to it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Maybe there wasn't a lot of these movies at the time.
No, I'm trying to, like I said, because it felt like this had an influence, but not, on a specific movie like that. Oh, we wanted to make our own version of Lord of War, but it was more like in the style and especially the using of music. Because that song was everywhere. I remember that was everywhere in trailers, and not in, like commercials on TV for movies. Maybe not in trailers for movies. Anyway, I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about the movie?
Not really. I mean, still really enjoy it. Still think it's a great movie. Think everyone should see it. But I don't have anything to analyze about it or really expand on it. It's good.
It gets points. It gets its point across without like trying to be, convoluted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is I like when it's convoluted. I like to figure it out myself. So that's that's where we differ. But yeah, I would recommend it. Maybe not like, oh my god, you gotta see it. But I mean, it's a good movie, definitely. And if you like this kind of movie, if you like Nicolas Cage, watch it, definitely. Yeah. It's we don't do half points. It's a really strong 6 out of 10. I want to say 6.5, but I can't.
All right. I'm I'm gonna give it a weak. Very weak, but it is an 8 for me.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's very close to 7, but it just tips the scale.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's very close to... We're on the exact opposite here. Again.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Lord of War from 2005. Nicolas Cage made 2 movies in 2005. This was the first one, and the second one is The Weatherman, which we'll do next week. You hadn't seen that, right?
No, I think I've seen like the beginning of it, but I never finished it.
I've seen the poster, and I know nothing more about it. Looks boring.
This was the one I, for some reason, thought was going to be similar to
The Family Man.
The Family Man, but that was just because of the name and because he has a coat on the poster.
Oh, it's a coat.
But after having seen Family Man, they're very different movies.
But you haven't seen The Weatherman.
Well, I've seen the first like 15 minutes and then I turned it off because I was doing something else and then I never get back to it. Anyway.
So only 3 movies left now.
Yeah.
This season. So
this season.
Closing.
Weatherman, Wicker Man, and then World Trade Center.
Yeah. There's been a lot of mad movies in this season. Family Man, Matchstick Man, Wicker Man, Weatherman.
Face Off Man, Super 8 Man.
Con Air Man, that's my favorite man.
The Rock Man.
The Rock Man.
Adaptation Man. Yeah. Yeah, but and I'm looking forward to a little bit of a season break. But 3 movies left, 3 weeks left, and like we said, next week is The Weatherman. So check it out if you want to follow along in the discussion, and if you want to listen to these episodes in advance, a week early, you should check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. There is a link. Wherever you're listening or watching this, there's a link down below. And you can support us for just $3 a month to get exclusive access to the episodes in advance. You also get exclusive episodes to my other podcast, the Spoilercast. There's commentary tracks, there's some exclusive videos. And you also help us in our independent podcast adventure. So check that out. Other than that, we're glad you're listening. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next week. But until then, have a good one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Madness in the Method is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It is hosted by Tobias Vedén and Christopher Billén. It is produced and directed by Tobias Vedén, after a concept by Christopher Billén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén and Laura Kinney. A big shout out to all our patrons over on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. Laura Kinney, Mom, and Dad.